I came home for Christmas and found the house completely empty, except for Grandma eating leftovers. A note on the table said, "We used your $10,000 loan on a family cruise. Take care of her." Grandma looked at me and said, "We'll handle this." I just nodded. For days later, they were begging. Can you imagine driving home for Christmas, full of excitement, only to find your entire future, for years of blood, sweat, and tears, shattered by a single, unbelievable note? A note from your own family, gleefully informing you they'd stolen every penny of your final semester's tuition for a Caribbean cruise, leaving your elderly grandmother behind like forgotten luggage. My name is Rosalind, and I was 28, just 3 months shy of graduating nursing school when this nightmare began. I'd packed my car with carefully chosen gifts, the long 6-hour drive from Chicago to Springfield, Missouri, filled with the comforting thought of a magical family Christmas. But when I pulled into my childhood driveway, something was immediately, jarringly wrong. Our house stood dark and undecorated, a stark contrast to the festive displays of our neighbors. There were no familiar cars, just my dad's old Buick. A knot of unease tightened in my stomach. I walked into an eerily quiet, undecorated house. No tree, no garland, no familiar chaos. The air was stale, with a faint smell of microwave food. "Hello? I'm home." I called out, my voice echoing in the silence. Then, a familiar voice, in the kitchen, "Dear." My heart ached with relief and dread simultaneously. I found Grandma Eleanor, all 82 years of her, sitting at the kitchen table, calmly eating microwave turkey and stuffing. No special holiday outfit, just her everyday house dress. "Grandma, where is everyone? What happened to the decorations?" I asked, the knot now a painful twist. Her face, usually so serene, held an expression I couldn't quite decipher, a mix of embarrassment, anger, and deep sadness. "Oh, Rosie, I'm so sorry you came home to this. They left yesterday." "Left?" My mind reeled. Where did they go? She simply gestured with her fork to the refrigerator. And there it was, stuck under a souvenir magnet, a hastily scrawled note in my mother's distinctive handwriting, complete with her signature flower doodles. I pulled it off, my fingers trembling as I read. "Rosie, sweetie, last-minute amazing deal on a Caribbean cruise. Couldn't pass it up. Used your loan money. Hope you don't mind. Consider it our family Christmas gift. Taking care of bills when we return. Grandma couldn't manage the trip with her mobility issues. So, please take care of her back in 4 days. Love you bunches. Mom, Dad, Jake, and Liv, hugs and kisses." I read it twice, 3 times, certain I had misread, that this had to be some sick joke. The casual tone, the hearts dotting the I's, as if borrowing $10,000 without permission was equivalent to borrowing a sweater. My voice was a choked whisper, they took my money." Grandma's voice was tight, confirming my worst fears. "Left yesterday afternoon. Booked it, paid for it, packed, and were gone within 3 hours. They didn't even put up the Christmas decorations." I slumped against the refrigerator, the note crumbling in my hand. But my loan money, that was for my final semester. For my clinicals and certification. How could they just take it? Grandma quietly reminded me I'd mentioned the money coming through. She asked if I was still using the joint account my parents had set up when I first went to college. The realization hit me like a physical blow. The account, opened when I was 18 for emergencies, still had them as co-signatories. I'd never gotten around to removing them. I used it mainly for student loans and larger expenses, while my daily spending came from a separate account. "They can't just take it," I whispered, even as I knew they absolutely could, and they had. My phone buzzed. A notification. With numb fingers, I opened it. There they were. All 4 of them. Standing on a cruise ship deck, wearing leis, holding tropical drinks. Surprise Christmas vacation. So blessed, read my mother's caption, posted just 30 minutes earlier. Not only had they taken my money, but they were flaunting it. "They didn't even take you," I said to Grandma, the betrayal deepening as I looked at her frail form. "Doctor said my hip wouldn't handle the ship, and they didn't want to cancel their fun," she replied with a bitter smile. "Your father said they'd bring me a souvenir." I felt physically ill. My legs felt weak. I grabbed the counter to steady myself. "Rosie, sit down before you fall down," Grandma ordered. I obeyed, automatically dropping into a kitchen chair. "They stole from me," I whispered, still unable to fully process it. "My own family stole from me." "Yes, they did," Grandma agreed, no sugarcoating in her tone. To my surprise, she looked angry, not defensive. And we are going to deal with it. I barely heard her. My mind raced through the consequences. Without that money, I couldn't register for my final clinical rotations. No clinicals, no graduation. No graduation, no nursing license. 4 years of brutally hard work, derailed. My entire future, snatched away by my family's impulsive vacation. I had to see if they took it all. A few taps on my phone confirmed my worst fears. The account had been drained 3 days ago. Every single penny. I tried calling each family member. Straight to voicemail. Texts delivered, but unread. Meanwhile, more vacation photos appeared online. Each one a fresh stab of betrayal. Let's look around, Grandma suggested. See what else we can find out. In the home office, we found printed cruise brochures, Caribbean travel guides, and discarded luggage tags. In my parents' closet, empty hangers. In the trash, used boarding passes for their flight to Miami. Every discovery was another confirmation, this wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a calculated decision. They planned this, I said, sinking onto my parents' bed, a hollow ache in my chest. Once they saw that cruise deal, they deliberately used my money. Grandma sat beside me, her small hand covering mine. Your father has always wanted what he wants, when he wants it, she said softly. I failed him as a mother in that way. I should have taught him better. I shook my head, too numb to even cry yet. This isn't your fault, Grandma. Perhaps not entirely, she conceded. But what matters now is what we do next. What we did next was call my financial aid office and academic advisor, only to get cheerful holiday voicemails. By then, reality had fully sunk in, and with it, the first wave of desperate panic. I can't afford another loan, I choked out, pacing the kitchen. I've maxed out my eligibility. Without this money, I can't finish school. You will finish, Grandma said firmly. We will figure this out. But in that moment, with evidence of my family's betrayal surrounding me, and my carefully constructed future suddenly in jeopardy, I couldn't see how. I carried my suitcases and the bags of now meaningless gifts to my childhood bedroom. It was exactly as I'd left it 4 years ago. Posters of nursing pioneers. Science textbooks. Acceptance letters and scholarship offers pinned to a corkboard. Sitting on the edge of my twin bed, surrounded by the relics of a younger, more trusting me, I finally broke down. The tears came in great, heaving sobs. I cried for the betrayal. For the careless way my family had jeopardized my future. For the years of hard work now at risk. For the devastating realization that the people who should protect me the most had instead chosen to harm me for their temporary pleasure. A soft knock. Grandma Eleanor entered, carrying a steaming mug of chamomile tea. Let it out, Rosie, she murmured, sitting beside me and rubbing my back. You have earned these tears. When the worst of the storm had passed, she handed me the tea and tissues. Now we talk, she said firmly. For the next 2 hours, we did. Not just about the current crisis, but about the pattern. This isn't the first time, is it? Grandma asked. No, it wasn't. I recalled incidents throughout my life. My $800 savings for a laptop, borrowed by Dad for an investment, never returned. My college fund, depleted by Mom and Dad for vacations and a kitchen remodel. My first car, ruined by Dad, repair costs never repaid. Jacob's textbook money, paid back months late, forcing me to use credit cards. Olivia's art supply emergency that turned out to be concert tickets. Do you see the pattern, Rosie? Grandma asked. I did, with crystal clarity. They take advantage of me. They always have. And do you know something else? Grandma asked, rising to my bookshelf and returning with an old photo album. They do it to me, too. As we flipped through family photos, Grandma revealed her own heartbreaking stories. How my father had convinced her to sell her house and move in, using most of the proceeds to pay off their credit card debt. How her Social Security checks mysteriously disappeared from her purse. How her jewelry, including her wedding ring, had gradually gone missing. Why did you never say anything? I asked, shocked. Same reason as you, I expect, she said with a sad smile. Love, shame, hope that next time would be different. My phone buzzed again. More social media notifications. Photos of my family ziplining, swimming with dolphins, enjoying a formal dinner at the captain's table. Beaming. Carefree. My messages to them remained unread. I can't believe they're just ignoring me, I said, tossing the phone aside. They know what they did was wrong, Grandma said firmly. Easier to pretend everything is fine than face the consequences. I spent the rest of the evening in a daze, making calls that went to voicemail, sending emails that received auto-replies. I calculated and recalculated my finances, desperate for a solution that didn't exist. I was nearly $5,000 short. Sleep was impossible. I lay awake, my mind racing. Would I have to drop out? Take a semester off? Beg the school for emergency assistance? Every option seemed impossible or humiliating. Sometime after midnight, I heard Grandma on the phone in the hallway. Her voice, uncharacteristically sharp. Harold James Wilson, you answer this phone right now. I know the ship has service. No, I will not call back tomorrow. You put Diane on, too. I want you both to hear this. What you have done to Rosalind is despicable, and there will be consequences when you return. Her voice dropped too low for me to hear the rest. Eventually, exhaustion claimed me, and I fell into troubled dreams. Morning brought no relief. I woke to the stark realization, 15 days. I had precisely 15 days to come up with nearly $10,000, or my nursing degree and the stable future it promised would be delayed at best, lost at worst. With robotic movements, I showered and dressed, then made my way downstairs. Grandma was already up. You look like you've been hit by a truck, she observed bluntly. Feel like it, too, I mumbled, reaching for the coffee. Sit, she commanded. I've been thinking. I obeyed, too drained to do otherwise. The emotional numbness of shock had settled over me. I felt hollow, scraped out, disconnected from the bright, ambitious nursing student who had driven home just 24 hours earlier. Grandma placed a plate of scrambled eggs and toast before me. Eat while I talk, she instructed. You'll need your strength. The next morning, the aroma of coffee and something sweet baking filled the house. For a blissful moment, I forgot everything, thinking it had all been a bad dream. Then reality crashed back. I found Grandma Eleanor, already dressed in one of her nice pantsuits, her white hair neatly styled, makeup applied. She sat at the kitchen table, surrounded by notebooks, my laptop open in front of her. You're up, she noted without looking up. Coffee is fresh. Grab some and join me. I poured a mug, took a cinnamon roll, though I had little appetite. You seem energized, I commented. I am, she confirmed, finally looking up. Her eyes behind her reading glasses were clear and determined. I was up at 5. Planning. Planning what? Operation Consequence, she replied with grim satisfaction, turning the laptop toward me. To my surprise, she had created a detailed spreadsheet with multiple tabs. I know this comes as a shock, but your grandmother is not entirely technologically inept. I've been taking classes at the community center for years. I can see that, I said, impressed despite my exhaustion. What is all this? This, my dear, is how we are going to fix the mess your family created. She pointed to the screen. First tab is financial options. Second is legal considerations. Third is a timeline of action items. Fourth is a list of resources and contacts. I blinked. Grandma, I appreciate this, but I'm not sure there's a solution. I've called everyone I can think of, and with the holidays, there is always a solution, she interrupted firmly. It may not be easy or comfortable, but there is always a way forward. She proceeded to outline her strategy. First, she revealed she had a modest savings account, kept secret from my parents. Not a fortune, mind you, she clarified, but enough to temporarily cover your tuition needs if we can't recover the money in time. Grandma, no. I protested immediately. That's your retirement money. I can't take that. You are not taking it, she corrected. I am lending it to you with proper documentation, and your family will be repaying me every penny with interest. The steel in her voice made it clear this was non-negotiable. Besides, she continued more gently, what good is saving for my future if I can't help secure yours? You are the only one in this family who has shown real responsibility and ambition. My investment in you is the safest one I could make. Tears threatened again, but of a different kind. I don't know what to say. Say you will stop being a doormat, she replied bluntly. Love without limits creates monsters, Rosie. I learned that too late with your father. You have a chance to learn it now. Over the next hour, she shared her own story in more detail than I had ever heard before. How she had enabled my father's poor financial habits from childhood, giving in to his demands, making excuses, cleaning up his messes. How my grandfather had warned her they were creating an entitled adult, but she hadn't listened. How she had watched the pattern repeat with my siblings. Your mother is no better, she added. Diane has champagne tastes on a beer budget. Always has. They enable each other's worst tendencies. But what can we do now? I asked. Even if we secure my tuition, they still took my money. That brings us to phase 2, Grandma said, flipping to another spreadsheet tab. Practical consequences. Her plan was comprehensive. In their hasty departure, my family had left numerous loose ends. They had taken all house keys but hadn't changed the security code. They'd left the refrigerator nearly empty, several bills unpaid, no arrangements for mail. They assumed you would handle everything, Grandma observed, as you always have. Her Operation Consequence addressed all of this and more. She had researched the legal implications of unauthorized use of student loan money. She had called the cruise line customer service that morning, pretending to be my mother, and confirmed their return arrangements. She had contacted her friend Terry, a retired attorney, for advice on drafting a repayment agreement. We need to be ready when they return, she explained. No emotional scenes, no accusations they can dismiss. Just calm, firm consequences with no wiggle room. The plan unfolded with military precision. First, a call to a locksmith to change all exterior locks. They took the keys but left us behind, Grandma reasoned. Clearly, they forfeit entry privileges without our approval. Next, a careful inventory of valuable items. Not that I think they would sell family heirlooms, Grandma said, but better safe than sorry given their current behavior. She had already begun documenting everything with photographs, the empty student loan account, the cruise social media posts, the note they had left. Rosie, she said seriously, the most important thing is that you are prepared to hold firm. They will cry, they will yell, they will try to make you feel guilty. They will say you are overreacting or that it was just a misunderstanding. They will promise to pay you back someday when it's convenient for them. I nodded, knowing she was right. And you need to be ready to say no. To say that their behavior has consequences, and those consequences are immediate and non-negotiable. What if I can't? I whispered, voicing my deepest fear. What if I give in like I always do? Grandma took my hands in hers, her papery thin skin covering surprisingly strong fingers. You can and you will. Because this time you are not alone. I will be right beside you. And I have 82 years of practice at being stubborn. That made me smile, faintly. Besides, she added with a twinkle in her eye, I have backup. That backup, it turned out, was an impressive network of Eleanor's friends. Terry, the retired lawyer, helped draft a legally binding repayment agreement. Martin, a retired locksmith, offered discounted services. Her bridge club friends volunteered to be present during the confrontation as witnesses and moral support. Elderly does not mean powerless, she informed me with dignity. With renewed purpose, I joined her. I called my school's financial aid emergency line and documented the situation for when offices reopened. I secured our important documents in a safe deposit box. I helped move particularly valuable items to Eleanor's sister's house. By evening, we had changed the locks, secured the valuables, documented the financial theft with bank statements and screenshots, and begun drafting the repayment agreement. Now for the most difficult part, Grandma said as we sat down to a simple dinner. Emotional preparation. She was right. The practical tasks had been straightforward, but the thought of confronting my family, of standing firm against their manipulations and guilt trips, filled me with anxiety. They'll say I'm being selfish, I said, pushing food around my plate. That they deserve a vacation after working so hard. That I'm making a big deal out of nothing. And what will you say? Grandma prompted. I took a deep breath. That taking my money without permission was wrong. That actions have consequences. That I need the money back immediately or a signed agreement for repayment. And if they refuse? The question hung in the air. What would I do if they refused? The answer came more easily than I expected. Then I will file a police report for theft and contact the school to report fraudulent use of student loan funds. Grandma nodded approvingly. It will not come to that. They are irresponsible, not stupid, but they need to know you are serious. I am serious, I said, surprising myself with the firmness in my voice. This is my future. This is my life. I have worked too hard to let them take it away for a vacation. That is my girl, Grandma said with a proud smile. Now, let us practice what you will say when they try to make you feel guilty. We spent the evening role-playing. Grandma, displaying unexpected acting talent, took turns playing my father's blustering authority, my mother's tearful manipulations, and my siblings' varied approaches to deflecting responsibility. With each practice round, my responses grew more confident, my resolve stronger. By the time we went to bed that night, I felt prepared in a way I never had before for a confrontation with my family. Remember, Grandma said as we parted, you are not just doing this for yourself. You are doing it for them, too. Real love means setting boundaries. Without consequences, they will never change. As I lay in bed, I reflected on how much had changed in just 2 days. I had arrived home excited for a family Christmas and discovered betrayal instead. But I had also discovered a strength in myself I hadn't known existed, and an ally in Grandma Eleanor I had always taken for granted. Tomorrow would bring more preparations. The day after, my family would return. And nothing would ever be the same again. Day 1 of our plan dawned cold and clear. Grandma and I reviewed our timeline over coffee and toast. The locksmith will be here at 9, she reminded me. And Terry is coming at 11 to finalize the repayment agreement, I added, feeling a strange calm replace yesterday's anxiety. Having a concrete plan made everything manageable. Martin, the locksmith, arrived promptly. Eleanor filled me in, he said. Terrible thing, family taking advantage. In just under 2 hours, he had changed all the exterior locks and installed a new electronic keypad on the front door. Temporary code for now, he explained. After your family makes amends, you can decide who gets permanent access. The symbolism was not lost on me. For the first time in my life, I would control who entered this space. After Martin left, Grandma and I carefully documented the condition of the house with photos and video, the undecorated rooms, the nearly empty refrigerator, the unpaid bills. Terry arrived next, a distinguished woman with silver hair and a no-nonsense attitude. Eleanor explained the situation, she said. Let's get straight to business. The repayment agreement she drafted was comprehensive. It outlined the unauthorized withdrawal of $9,876, set a repayment schedule with modest interest, and included consequences for missed payments. This is just a starting point for negotiation, Terry explained. But begin from a position of strength. They took advantage of you, not the other way around. After Terry left, we focused on practical preparations. We went grocery shopping, stocked the refrigerator, collected accumulated mail, and paid urgent bills, keeping careful records. Added to their tab, Grandma said grimly as we wrote a check for the overdue electric bill. By evening, we had secured the house, documented everything, and prepared the formal paperwork. I felt a growing confidence, like putting on armor piece by piece. Day 2 brought new challenges. My mother posted more cruise photos, one captioned, "Best family vacation ever. So grateful for this time together." The casual cruelty of excluding us while using my money stung afresh. More worryingly, my bank notified me of attempted credit card charges from the cruise ship gift shop. They'd been declined, but the attempt indicated my family was now trying to use my credit card as well. Unbelievable, I said, showing Grandma the notification. They steal $10,000 and then try to charge more. Entitlement breeds entitlement, she replied, unsurprised. Call the card company and report potential fraud. I did, and a sympathetic representative froze the card. The rest of the day was devoted to organizing our documentation and preparing for potential outcomes. Grandma's friend Beth, a retired social worker, helped us practice handling emotional confrontations. They will try to push your buttons, she warned. They know exactly which ones work because they installed them. We role-played more scenarios, with Beth taking on my mother's role with frightening accuracy. After all we have sacrificed for you, she wailed. This is how you repay us. Each time, I practice responding calmly but firmly. This is not about past sacrifices. This is about the $10,000 taken from my account without permission. We can discuss access to the house after we resolve the financial issue. By evening, I felt emotionally stronger, though anxiety still churned beneath the surface. The cruise tracking website confirmed the ship was on schedule to return to Miami the day after tomorrow. Almost time, Grandma said, squeezing my hand. Day 3 focused on final preparations. What if they refused to sign? What if they made a scene? What if they simply walked away? For each scenario, we developed a response. Legal options were documented. A rental car was reserved. Support people were confirmed. Remember, Grandma said, we are not doing this to punish them. We are doing this to establish boundaries and consequences. I nodded. Though part of me did want to punish them for their casual betrayal, for risking my future, for leaving Grandma behind. That evening, a text finally arrived from my mother. Having the most amazing time, flying home tomorrow, slight emergency with your father's work. See you around dinner time. Cannot wait to tell you all about it. Love you. No mention of my money. No acknowledgement of what they had done. No apology. And so it begins, Grandma said, the pretense that everything is normal. I didn't reply. Day 4 dawned with a light snow falling, adding to the surreal quality of the situation. This should have been Christmas morning. Instead, Grandma and I sat at the kitchen table, drinking coffee, watching the clock. Tracking information showed their flight had landed. A text from my sister confirmed they were in a ride-share heading home. Grandma's friends began arriving, Terry, Beth, Martin, 3 Bridge Club members. A gray-haired army of support gathered in the living room. Thank you all for coming, I said, touched. We take care of our own, Terry replied. Eleanor has been there for each of us. A notification from the home security system. Through the front window, I watched my family emerge, sunburned and laden with souvenirs, laughing. My heart pounded. Grandma came to stand beside me, her small hand finding mine. Remember who you are, she said quietly. Remember what you deserve. I nodded, squeezing her hand as the doorbell rang. It was time. The doorbell rang again, more insistently. I took a deep breath. I moved to the front window, pulled back the curtain. My family was on the porch, my father already reaching for his keys. Rosie, my mother called, spotting me. We're home. Open up. It's freezing out here. I pressed the intercom button on the new security system. I can see that, I replied, my voice steadier than I expected. Why are your keys not working? My father's face appeared at the window, his expression confused, then angry. What the hell? Did you change the locks? Yes, I confirmed simply. We need to talk before you come in. This is ridiculous, he sputtered, his face reddening beneath his tan. It's 20 degrees out here, and we've been traveling all day. Let us in right now. We can talk through the doorbell camera, I said, nodding to Grandma who activated the device. Or you can agree to a calm conversation about what happened with my student loan money. Their faces on the small screen showed a range of emotions, my father enraged, my mother confused, Jacob embarrassed, and Olivia increasingly concerned. What are you talking about? My mother asked, her eyes darting away from the camera. We just need to get inside. I'm talking about the $10,000 you took from my account without permission, I said clearly. The money that was for my final semester of nursing school. The money you spent on a cruise without even asking me. A moment of silence. My father recovered first. Now listen here, he began, his sales pitch voice activated. We didn't steal anything. That was a family account, and it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, a last-minute cancellation. We deserved a vacation after everything we've been through this year. That does not explain why you didn't ask me first, I replied. Or why you left Grandma alone without proper care. Mom was fine, my mother interjected quickly. And we were going to pay you back, of course. We just needed to enjoy the holidays first. With my money, I added. Money I needed for school. My mother's expression turned pleading. Sweetie, you're making this into something it's not. We're family. We share things. Now, please let us in before we freeze. Grandma stepped up beside me. There will be conditions for entry, she announced firmly. My father's face darkened further. Mom, you're behind this. This is between us and Rosalind. You left me here too, Harold, Grandma reminded him. With no discussion, no proper arrangements, just a note telling Rosalind to take care of me, as if I am a houseplant. We knew Rosie would be here, my mother said defensively. And the ship wasn't accessible for someone with your mobility issues. Convenient, Grandma replied dryly. My siblings had remained silent. But now, Jacob stepped forward. This is stupid. It's our house, too. You can't keep us out. Actually, we can, I replied. And we will, until we have discussed the repayment of my money. Repayment, my mother echoed, as if the concept was entirely new. Honey, of course we'll pay you back eventually. When things settle down. When? I pressed. How? With what money? Their uncomfortable shifting and avoided gazes told me everything. There was no plan. There never had been. Here is what is going to happen, I said, channeling Grandma's calm authority. We have prepared a repayment agreement. You will review and sign it. Then we can discuss entry to the house. This is insane, my father exploded. You can't treat your family like this. After everything we've done for you. Something inside me hardened. What exactly have you done for me, Dad? Taken my college fund. Borrowed my car and returned it broken. Used my student loan for a vacation while I worked 3 jobs to put myself through school. His mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. By now, a few neighbors had noticed the commotion. The Patels next door were openly watching. Perhaps we should continue this conversation more privately, my mother suggested, her social embarrassment overriding everything else. I agree, I said. There's a coffee shop 3 blocks away. We can meet there in 15 minutes to discuss the agreement. In this weather. With all our luggage, my father protested. Your choice, I replied with a shrug. Public discussion on the porch with the neighbors watching, or private discussion at the coffee shop. They huddled, whispering urgently. Finally, my mother turned back to the camera. Fine, the coffee shop. But only you, Rosalind, not your grandmother's friends. She had spotted Terry through the window. Non-negotiable, I replied. Terry comes with me, as does Grandma. The others will wait here. More whispers, then reluctant agreement. They trudged back to their ride share. 15 minutes later, we sat in the back corner of Magnolia Coffee, a small local shop decorated for Christmas. The contrast between the festive atmosphere and our tense faces couldn't have been starker. Terry placed a folder on the table. This is a legally binding repayment agreement, she explained in her crisp, professional voice. My father didn't even reach for it. This is ridiculous. We don't need lawyers and contracts. We are family. Family does not steal from family, Grandma replied simply. We didn't steal, my mother insisted, her voice rising. It was a misunderstanding. What part was misunderstood? I asked quietly. The part where you knew it was my student loan money. The part where you didn't ask permission. The part where you knew I needed it for school. No one answered directly. Look, Jacob finally said, what's done is done. The money is spent. We can't magically give it back right now. Which is why there is a repayment plan, Terry interjected, tapping the folder. Starting with an immediate payment of $1,000 from your return flight refunds. My head snapped up. What return flight refunds? A guilty look passed between my parents. We had to change our return flights, my mother admitted. The original ones were for December 27th, but your father had a work emergency. So, you have refunds coming, Grandma concluded. Which will go directly to Rosalind. More uncomfortable shifting. My father finally picked up the agreement and flipped through it, his frown deepening. These terms are ridiculous. There's no way we can pay back this much this quickly. Then Rosalind will have no choice but to pursue other options, Terry said calmly, including reporting the unauthorized use of student loan funds, which I understand can trigger investigations by both the school and the lending institution. My mother paled. You wouldn't do that to your own family. I didn't want to, I said honestly. I wanted to come home for Christmas, spend time with my family, and go back to school to finish my degree. You are the ones who changed the plan, not me. For the first time, Olivia spoke up. Mom, Dad, she's right. We took her money without asking. That was wrong. My sister's unexpected support created a shift in the atmosphere. My mother's defiance crumbled. My father looked less certain. At minimum, Terry continued, the credit card charges attempted from the cruise ship gift shop need to be addressed. What credit card charges? My father asked sharply, looking at my mother. She had the grace to look embarrassed. I may have tried to use Rosa's card for a few souvenirs. I thought it would be fine. After taking $10,000, you tried to charge more. Grandma asked incredulously. The conversation continued in this vein for nearly an hour. My parents cycled through denial, anger, minimizing, and blame shifting. Jacob largely supported them, while Olivia became increasingly uncomfortable, occasionally offering quiet support for my position. Outside, the light snow continued to fall. Inside, the ice between us slowly began to crack. What happens if we don't sign? My father finally asked, pushing the agreement away. Then you do not enter the house, I said simply. And I pursue legal options for recovering the money. You would make your own family homeless at Christmas? My mother asked, tears finally appearing. You would steal your daughter's education money for a cruise, Grandma countered. The stalemate stretched on. Terry checked her watch pointedly. I have another appointment in 30 minutes, she said. So, a decision needs to be made. My father stared at me, perhaps seeing me clearly for the first time, not as his compliant daughter, but as a woman standing her ground. We cannot pay it all back immediately, he finally said, his voice less combative. The agreement does not require that, I pointed out. It requires good faith, immediate payment of what you can, and a structured plan for the rest. After another tense silence, my mother reached for the agreement. We will sign, she said quietly. But I want it noted that we were always going to pay you back. This formal approach was unnecessary. I bit back a retort, recognizing the small victory. One by one, they signed the document, my father last, and with visible reluctance. Now, can we go home? Jacob asked sullenly. Yes, I said, gathering the signed papers. But things will be different. As we walked back through the snow-covered streets, I explained the new household rules. They would have temporary entry codes, not permanent ones. Financial responsibilities would be clearly documented and shared. Grandma's Social Security checks would be deposited directly to her personal account. This feels like punishment, my mother complained. This feels like consequences, I corrected her. There is a difference. When we reached the house, Grandma's friends had departed, except for Martin, who waited to explain the new security system. My family entered their changed home environment with subdued expressions, taking in the absence of Christmas decorations, the practical groceries instead of holiday treats, the neatly organized bills awaiting payment. Welcome home, I said, feeling the weight of change settle over us all. The first night was tense, to say the least. My parents retreated to their bedroom early, the weight of consequences visibly heavy. Jacob alternated between sullen silence and attempts to normalize the situation with jokes. That fell flat. Only Olivia made genuine efforts to repair the damage, helping me prepare a simple dinner and asking thoughtful questions about my final semester requirements. Grandma Eleanor maintained her position as moral compass and mediator, firm, but not punitive. This is not about making anyone suffer, she reminded me privately. It is about creating change. Over the next week, the patterns established during our confrontation continued to play out. My parents initially resisted the new financial accountability, complaining about the detailed expense tracking and shared bill payments I implemented. My father attempted to reassert control several times, making unilateral decisions, then acting surprised when I challenged them. I'm the head of this household, he declared during one heated discussion. And I'm the one holding you accountable, I countered. The agreement you signed requires financial transparency. Gradually, the resistance began to fade. The signed repayment agreement hung on the refrigerator as a constant reminder. The first payment, drawn from their flight refunds and supplemented by the sale of some cruise souvenirs, was transferred to my account. Grandma's temporary loan covered my immediate school expenses, allowing me to register for my final clinical rotations on time. The relief was immense. 2 weeks after their return, I went back to Chicago. The distance provided perspective for everyone. Weekly video calls included financial updates, with my parents reporting on their progress. My father took on weekend consulting work. My mother reduced her shopping and started selling unused household items online. The most surprising development came from my siblings. Jacob, after initial resistance, seemed to undergo a transformation. During one video call, he showed me his new budgeting app and shared that he had taken on additional shifts at his recording studio job. I never realized how much you were carrying for all of us, he admitted awkwardly. It wasn't fair. Olivia went even further, calling me privately to apologize. I was part of it, too, she said. Taking advantage of you, I mean. I just never saw it that way until now. Until I saw how hard you fought for yourself. These conversations were not easy. Years of established patterns don't change overnight. There were setbacks, like when my mother borrowed from the repayment fund for a department store sale, or when my father questioned whether full repayment was really necessary. Each time, I held firm to the boundaries we had established. And each time, it became a little easier. Grandma Eleanor, true to her word, moved part-time to Chicago after I graduated, renting a small apartment near my new job at Northwestern Memorial Hospital. Her presence helped me maintain my newfound strength and provided a buffer as my relationship with my parents slowly healed on a more equal footing. The following Christmas was dramatically different. Instead of elaborate gift exchanges funded by credit card debt, we agreed on modest, thoughtful presents. My parents hosted a small dinner rather than an extravagant party. Most importantly, they had repaid nearly half of what they had taken, making consistent monthly payments, even when it required sacrifices. The lessons I learned from that terrible Christmas and its aftermath transformed me in ways I could never have anticipated. I discovered my own strength and worth. I learned that real love includes boundaries and accountability. I realized that allowing people to experience the consequences of their actions is sometimes the greatest gift you can give them. As a nurse, these lessons proved invaluable. I brought new empathy to patients struggling with difficult family dynamics. I recognized enabling behaviors and could gently guide people toward healthier boundaries. I understood from personal experience that healing often begins with painful truth. My relationship with my family will never be what it was before. The blind trust is gone, replaced by something more cautious, but ultimately more genuine. My parents still struggle with financial responsibility, but now they do so openly, asking for guidance rather than taking advantage. My siblings have become allies rather than competitors for resources. And Grandma Eleanor, at 84, continues to demonstrate that it is never too late to change family patterns. Her courage in standing with me and acknowledging her own role in creating my father's sense of entitlement remains one of the greatest acts of love I have ever witnessed. Sometimes the most valuable Christmas gift is not found under a tree or on a cruise ship. Sometimes it comes in the form of difficult conversations, painful growth, and the courage to say no to those we love most. That terrible note on the refrigerator led to the most important journey of my life. Not across the Caribbean, but across the much more challenging terrain of self-worth and family healing. Have you ever had to stand up to family members who took advantage of you? Thank you for watching. Take care. Good luck.